Right, special video for you today. Considering I have gone and sprained and fractured my ankle, I'm going to give you what I'm doing in my week 1 rehab, the exercises when I'm out of the boot. Now this is week 1 rehab, which means week 2 since the injury. The first week was letting it settle down. Okay, going into the boot because I'd fractured my fibula, sprained my ankle. I needed it to rest and settle. The other thing too is when you're in that first week, you need to be working on letting that inflammation kick in for the first 3 days. So you really want to do nothing exercise-wise for those first 3 days. I then spent quite a bit of treatment trying to flush out the fluid. All right, I wasn't on a bike, wasn't in the pool, wasn't doing any exercises for the entire week. Okay, let it settle down, let the injury process do its thing and get the healing started, then you can start moving it. Plus, it's just too damn sore for me to do anything else apart from being in the boot and rest. But after week 1, you need to get cracking. So, apart from doing the bike, which I can do, doing a swim with a pool buoy, so I'm not kicking, which I can do, I'm walking in the boot for work and getting to and from work. So most of the time, I'm in this, but when I'm out, I have to do exercises, and that's twice a day. Now, first thing you want to work on is circumduction. Now, I've migrated from, initially, for the first week, I was in a compression sock, because this was, if you've seen the videos before, this was so swollen, okay? It's calmed down heaps now. And I was in a compression sock, which is just a tubular compression. I've now upgraded myself to a B.Phty support, which is really nice compression, okay? That's what I use when I'm doing my exercises, that sort of thing, when I don't have the boot on, which is not often, but that's really, really nice. So I've upgraded to that. When I do my exercise, the first one I'm going to work on is circumduction. Now this is actually, a lot of it, which is, if you look at this, is trying to just get the foot moving in all directions. At the moment, I'm trying to think about drawing a circle with my foot, okay? Now you can see that's quite hard for me. If you look at my left one, easy peasy, right? I can do no problems. This one is going real slow, and I'll tell you why it's going slow, is because this peroneal tendon group here, all right, my brevis and my longus, sitting in the sheath, is all swollen and really sore, okay? Plus I've got a little bit of swelling tightness through here, plus I've got the fracture. So when I move around like this, I can feel pain through here. I've got to be careful that I don't push that too far. I can't move too quick, because I can feel it up through the leg. And the thing is, I could push that, right? But I'll be really sore afterwards. There's no point in that. This is week 1 rehab, week 2 after injury. There is no point you trying to push this like you're strengthening it. I'm not doing any strengthening here. I'm just trying to get this moving. So when you do circumduction, think about what I call drawing a circle of fire. You're trying to be on the edge of the pain the whole way around. So you're getting the maximum amount of movement you can. It's a boring, pathetic little exercise in your head, but it's amazing for your foot. And you'll find just doing this, like 20 one way, 20 the other way, 3 sets of that, all of a sudden, your ankle feels better when you're moving around. Okay, so important one to do. You're only really doing this one in the first week, okay, but for those who have tightness on the lateral side, maybe you've done your ATFL, your CFL, or your peroneal tendons are inflamed, you'll probably find you have to keep working on getting that mobility back so it looks like this one, okay? So that's the first one. Second thing is dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Now, the easiest way I do this stuff like sitting down on the sofa at night, that sort of stuff I do in the mornings before breakfast. What you're aiming to do is plantar flex your foot as far as you can go based on how much stiffness and tightness you have here, okay? You don't want to push past a 3 or 4 out of 10 pain, but you're trying to curl your toes down and stretch it, and then you're trying to lift it up as far as you can go. Again, same drill, don't go into any nasty pain. So it's range of movement work. Again, there's a bit of strengthening, sort of, because your tib ant will come back alive when you're doing this, because you'll probably find this has gone to a bit of mush if you've been in a boot. But this one here is really about trying to stretch through that movement, doing active movement. You're also, if you notice, what I'm doing is a calf pump, okay? So this will actually help not just range and getting tendons and muscles moving and in and out of the sheaths, it's actually going to start reducing some of that fluid by getting that body pumping it out of your system. Because if you've been in a boot or you're strapped up, maybe you're non-weight bearing and you're not doing any of that, your fluid is just going to remain. Okay, if you notice in my foot at the start of the week, it was like grossly swollen. Went on the bike, started moving all of a sudden, but within 1 week, look at that. Okay, it's heaps better. Okay, and you can do that depending on the injury. So there's your dorsiflexion plantar flexion. Now you stay in this position for inversion, eversion. It's similar to the circumduction, but what I'm going to try and do, if you look on this foot, I can move it in and move it out. Easy peasy. So I'm going to keep my knee straight, move it in, move it out. This one, I have to go a little bit slow because I'd have no power here. As soon as I go into eversion, I get a little hollow pain up through my perineals because they've been strained. Right? And then the same drill is when I roll it in, I get another stretch hollow pain. So I've only got this much of range. But when I first started this on Sunday, I had almost nothing. Now I've almost doubled the range I've got. But if you look at this, I've got a long way to go. All right? So you have to start this work now, and it continues throughout the program, but it just goes into more strengthening. So I'll start using a TheraBand, that sort of stuff. But at the moment, there is no resistance. Your week 1, no resistance, no isometrics. We can't afford to stress load all the tissues just yet. We're just after movement and getting fluid out. I'm doing enough loading just being the boot. Remember, the boot is to stop it moving for a fracture or a grossly swollen ankle, but it's weight bearing, okay? Admittedly, the fibula is only about a 15% weight bearing bone, okay, so I can get away with walking around in this thing. I don't need to be non-weight bearing. But for this sort of, movement, this is enough because, like I said, I've put so much loading through the boot standing and walking during the day that I don't need any more strengthening at this stage. So those are all your sort of boring ones, if you like. They're the ones that you sort of have to do. You just got to get them done morning and night, all right? Then I want to work on a bit of calf work because I'm not walking properly in a boot. I'm limited. If you look at that, I'm limited at 0 degrees, right? So I'm not getting the full dorsiflexion. You also don't want that at the moment because I've got this problem through the back here. I've also got this fracture here. If I go into too much dorsiflexion and stretch the crap out of that, you'll find that it pulls on all the sore structures. You're just going to make it worse. You're going to loosen your foot up, but you're going to get sorer. So there's no point doing that. So what you can do is either use a band like this power band or a towel and work on trying to just get your knee straight and just gently put some load through that foot by pulling here. Now that's all I need. I can already feel that down around the bottom of my perineals, and all I'm doing is trying to relax the front of the foot and stretch. At the moment, I'm not getting a calf stretch, okay? What I'm getting is this. So I've got to get through this tightness first before I can get to that, but I've got to start somewhere. So this is a really nice one to do. And the one I like doing this in the first week is because you're not weight bearing. You'll find that if I try and weight bear and stretch that out, it just hurts more. So the best way to stretch on your first week of rehab is non-weight bearing calf stretches, not your classic sort of gastroc stretch. That's going to come later when you can tolerate weight bearing. That's the key. All right, so minute on for that. I'm going to do 3 of those. I'm going to do those twice a day. Now I'm just holding this in. Now I can actually feel it in my calf. Now that perineal pain's gone away now, and now I can feel it through here. So that's interesting. So next one, release on the roller. What I've been having for the past week is calf muscle release from the physio, releasing it off. It's really helped, plus flushing out. At home, I can do that as well. So what I want to work on is getting a roller like this, okay, and then pushing it down through the calf. Now the good thing about this is, one, I don't have to weight bear on it because that might be too much, right? I can just put the weight of my leg on the roller and push that down. Now what you can do, depending on your injury, is you can roll inside and do the inside of the calf. You can roll the outside of the calf and get the perineals, right? And that's what I need to do almost more than the calf, is I need those perineal muscles with a bit of release work done because they've been so sore down in the tendon. So when they're sore down the tendon, guess what? The muscle was really tight. So if I can work on that, that is really helpful to release that off. I would spend about sort of maybe half minute to a minute going down one pass, all right? And you need to do as many of those as you feel like you need to. See, I can get right down, if I've got it out to the right there, I can get right down those perineals by the fibula and release that right off. So that's how slow you've got to go. And then you bring it back up, start at the top again, work on what you need. Super helpful to try and release your calf off. It's something that I would recommend that you do in between your physio sessions. Now, last one I want to show you today is another pretty boring one, but again, it's a range of movement thing. It also helps with a bit of a calf pump. So when you are sitting in your chair, what you want to aim for is to get your foot sort of back as far as you can go. Now, some of you are going to be limited by your dorsiflexion. You probably find that you can't get, like I can get this foot way back here because I've got reasonable dorsiflexion. There's no way I can get this one back, okay? So just bring it back to where you feel like your heel's about to fall off, come off the ground. Once you got to there, then all you're doing is working on this movement, okay? Think of like a seated calf raise. So I'm actually using my Achilles, my soleus, I'm using some of my perineals, that sort of thing, to lift that up. You're just allowed to only work in the range that you're pain-free. Okay, so think about this as I'm trying to get movement through the ankle. I'm also trying to get used to actually planting through the foot. Some of this, you know, if you've been in a boot for a week, your brain starts to forget how to walk properly. So I need to get used to pushing weight through my foot. Okay, it's not much. It's hardly anything at all because I don't want too much load to stress the back of the ankle. If I've got perineal problems through the back here, I don't want to be putting heavy load through there. So this is almost zero load coming up, but I can still feel that tissue working. But what I'm doing is pumping fluid in and out of that ankle. By doing this, I'm getting freedom through here. I'm getting tendons going in and out of the sheath, all right, in and out of the sheath through here, which is what I need because it's so sticky and gungy with fluid in there. And that will free me up. The more that frees up, the quicker my recovery is. The quicker I can get into strengthening when I'm allowed to, when that healing rate comes in. You don't want to be stuck, you know, down the track. We go, okay, strengthen it, and it's all thick and grotty, and you've got no range. Okay, you won't be able to strengthen it, and then you'll have to go through that stretching anyway. So this is where you start. It's safe. There's no load through here. You just, like I said, work in those pain-free ranges. Now, that's just a little showcase of what I'm doing. All right, remember, I'm doing those things to get the ankle moving, start pumping up, but I'm also on the bike and I'm also sort of in the pool a little bit, and I'm weight bearing through a boot. So I've got a lot to do, and that's why these exercises are just pretty low level. But again, like I said, it's week 1 rehab, week 2 injury. They have to be low level, but also they're essential. So that's my first week rehab. I'll see you next time.